Greetings, courageous ones. Welcome to a journey where wanderlust takes a sinister turn. Tonight we're not just crossing borders or time zones, we're venturing into the chilling unknown. Get ready to clutch your blankets tighter as we delve into 4 true tales of terror, stories born from the dark corners of the world where even seasoned travelers dared not tread. Buckle up, for we are about to embark on a haunting trip through 3 disturbingly true traveling horror stories.
Story 1. The Haunting of the Hotel, a tourist's terrifying end. In the dimly lit, decaying grandeur of an infamous hotel in downtown Los Angeles, a chilling tale unfolded in the winter of 2013. A bright and vivacious Canadian tourist was last seen alive in late January, her presence hauntingly immortalized in the grainy footage of the hotel's surveillance cameras. She had been on a solo adventure, journeying through the West Coast, her experiences meticulously chronicled on her blog. Every day, she would dutifully check in with her parents, reassuring them of her safety in a foreign land. But on that fateful January day, the calls abruptly ceased, leaving her family in a maddening state of anxiety. Her sudden silence reverberated ominously. Her absence felt like a gaping void. As days turned into weeks, she remained a specter, her whereabouts a mystery that even the Los Angeles Police Department couldn't unravel. Her anxious parents flew down, their faces etched with worry as they aided in the futile search for their missing daughter. The police, desperate for leads, released a disturbing video of her captured before her disappearance. The footage was nothing short of bone-chilling. She was seen inside the claustrophobic confines of the hotel elevator, her behavior erratic and unsettling. She appeared to be engaged in a fervent conversation with invisible entities, her eyes darting around nervously, as if expecting an unseen assailant. She crouched in the corner, her body tensed as if bracing for an attack. The elevator door opened and closed inexplicably, adding to the eerie scene. This surveillance footage only deepened the enigma, spawning theories ranging from psychotic breakdowns to demonic possessions, each more terrifying than the last. Around this time, guests at the hotel began reporting bizarre anomalies with the water supply. Showers spewing black, murky water, the taste of the tap water turning repugnantly foul. Another guest at the hotel described it as having a funny, sweaty, disgusting taste, one so peculiar that it defied description. Despite the alarming signs, the guests chose to dismiss their concerns, attributing it to the quirks of an old building. It wasn't until late February that the horrifying truth came to light. A hotel employee, prompted by the complaints, ascended to the roof to inspect the hotel's water storage tanks. There, floating in the stagnant water, was the tourist's decomposing body, her clothes discarded nearby. The discovery sent shockwaves through the city. Her death labeled as accidental after an autopsy, a verdict that did little to quell the rising tide of horror and speculation. The hotel, with its dark history, appeared to be enveloped in an ominous shadow. It had been a temporary home to a notorious serial killer, later convicted for a series of horrific murders that took place in a bygone decade. In addition, another infamous criminal, suspected of ending the lives of several individuals during his stay, also graced its guest list. There was also a tragic incident involving a woman who chose to end her life by jumping from one of the hotel's windows, unfortunately claiming the life of an unsuspecting passerby in the process. In 2021, a popular streaming platform rolled out a gripping documentary that delved into the gloomy narrative of a notorious hotel and a specific tragic event that occurred there. The eerie remnants of this incident continue to linger within the walls of the hotel, serving as a grim reminder of its unsettling past. Story 2. Descent into Terror, a journey through the Alps. For years, we've been wandering through Europe in our trusty motorhome, reveling in the thrill of unexpected discoveries and the unpredictability of our journey. However, our first venture into this vast continent nearly culminated in a horrifying disaster, a statement that I regret is far from hyperbole. It was a day of radiant sunshine in the heart of Switzerland as we traversed the formidable Alps. Our daughter's jubilant voice echoed throughout the vehicle, celebrating her recent academic triumphs. We had just survived an unnerving ride on an antiquated funicular, ascending a mountainside in reverse. What could possibly taint such an idyllic day? The answer, as we discovered, was quite a lot. The Alpine roads, no matter the direction, are notorious for their narrow hairpin turns that snake around the mountainous terrain. As we approached the first of these precarious bends, we were struck by a chilling realization. Our brakes were failing. In those terrifying moments, our only means of decelerating was the handbrake, wielded desperately by my husband. The perilous nature of mountain roads leaves little room for safe turnarounds or pull-offs, and having just departed a car park, we knew another wouldn't appear for some time. Our only option was to continue our descent, the weight of our motorhome accelerating our momentum, attempting to slow down without functional brakes. Each 180-degree bend, appearing every 200 meters or so, was a pulse-pounding encounter with potential doom. The looming uncertainty of when the handbrake might fail added to our fear, as these treacherous roads lacked any safeguards to prevent vehicles from plummeting over the edge. How we reached the foot of the mountain intact is a mystery that still haunts me. It was the most terrifying experience of my life, and I remain eternally grateful for my husband's steady hand and nerves of steel. Our handbrake was irreparably damaged, but at that point, we were beyond caring. At the bottom, we were fortunate to find a small town with a garage. There, we uncovered the source of our near disaster. Our brake fluid had completely evaporated. When we purchased the van a few months prior, we were assured it had undergone a full service and an MOT vehicle test. We conducted our own inspections, but never thought to verify the brake fluid. As it turned out, it hadn't been replaced for years and was mostly water, which had gradually evaporated as our brakes heated up during our mountainous journey. Thankfully, the garage was able to replenish the brake fluid and replace our handbrake. The ordeal taught us a valuable lesson. Always conduct a thorough check of your vehicle before embarking on a road trip, and never rely solely on a salesman's assurances. Instead, have your vehicle fully serviced by an independent garage. Story 3: Train Cabin Nightmares in Europe. In the gloomy heart of Pécs, Hungary, I was preparing for a grueling journey to Zurich, a mere stepping stone on my way back home to Boston via JFK. This arduous journey entailed a 5-hour bus ride to Budapest, a brief subway trip to the main rail station. The weariness was already gnawing at the edges of my consciousness, a gnawing hunger and thirst compounded by an urgent need to relieve myself. Yet, I decided to persevere, holding it in until I reached the sanctuary of the main railway station. The effort of withholding such basic human needs left me utterly exhausted, and the thought of resting my head on the train seat was as enticing as a siren's song. After 2 agonizing hours of waiting, my salvation arrived in the form of the train. I found my cabin already occupied by 2 convivial Hungarian girls engrossed in a film on their laptop. Though I exchanged pleasantries with them, sleep was the only mistress I yearned for at that moment. But fate had a cruel sense of humor. 2 Roma girls stumbled into our cabin, their laughter echoing ominously off the walls. Their Nokias blared out discordant dance tunes, each one clashing horribly with the other. Their fascination with me was immediate and unwelcome. their fingers constantly poking at me, giggling at my discomfort like hyenas tormenting their prey. It was clear they had no understanding of personal space, and I knew arguing would be as futile as screaming into a void. In the midst of this chaos, a pornographic film somehow found its way onto the Hungarian girl's laptop. Every so often, I'd feel a poke, followed by raucous laughter as they gestured towards the explicit scenes playing out on the screen. Despite my exhaustion and the intrusive nature of the situation, I maintained my composure, firmly refusing any advances. The turning point came when one of the Roma girls brazenly reached for my groin, her hot breath whispering unwanted propositions into my ear. My refusal was met with a torrent of insults, and I braced myself for the next 6 hours, enduring their relentless poking, verbal assault, and the fear of leaving my belongings unattended, even for a moment, to relieve myself. As the train trundled on, I felt like a captive, held hostage by the threat of violence or violation. However, as we crossed the Swiss border, a stroke of divine intervention occurred. The Roma girls were detained by Border Patrol, their raucous laughter replaced by an eerie silence. The relief I felt was tainted by a bitter taste of guilt, knowing the prejudices these girls faced. Yet my hatred for them had reached such a pinnacle that I couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. In the wake of their departure, I managed to steal an hour of fitful sleep before the train pulled into Zurich. My ordeal seemed to have a silver lining when I discovered that my flight had been overbooked and I'd been upgraded to first class. I was whisked away from the memory of being trapped with 2 tormentors to the luxury of a reclining bed chair, an endless supply of wine, and a sumptuous 4-course meal. While others may have endured worse, this experience remains etched in my memory as a journey through a waking nightmare. Story 4: The Terrifying Twilight. There was an eerie tale of a chilling journey that took place some years back in an enchanting city in southern Europe. A couple, young and adventurous, arrived in the city under the shroud of nightfall, having missed their intended destination due to the late hour. In their aimless wander, they happened upon a secluded park. The park, though overgrown with wild flora and fauna, had a certain captivating charm, a sense of untouched beauty. The ambiance was intimate, almost mystical, and seemed to be a world unto itself. As twilight bled into dusk, an unsettling aura began to creep over them. The park was deserted, leaving only the peculiar sounds of unseen creatures to break the silence. They decided to retreat, but as they attempted to exit, they were met with a chilling realization. The gate was securely locked. A sense of dread washed over them. They were prisoners within the high stone walls that surrounded the park. In the pitch black, before the advent of phone flashlights, they stumbled around desperately. They discovered a forsaken caretaker's outpost and encountered a group of terrified local students who were suffering a similar fate. United by fear, they scoured the park until they found a ladder. In the impenetrable darkness, they managed to locate a point at which the intimidating wall could be scaled. With hearts pounding and breaths held, they climbed to freedom, living to recount their harrowing experience. In retrospect, they discovered that the park was known as the Carmen de los Martires Garden, which closed its gates promptly at sundown during the warmer months. And the creatures that had so terrified them were merely peacocks and ducks, though their fraught imaginations had painted far more sinister pictures. It was a lesson harshly learned. Always take the time to read the signs when venturing into unfamiliar territory.